Thursday, what is this, May 13th, 2025. So, welcome to everybody who is here. So I see Becky and Gary are here. So guys, thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. I almost switched things up on y'all today. But then I decided, well, I haven't, because today was supposed to be, well, originally, it was the MLS versus the VLS. And so that, to me, is a very important topic and really needs to be discussed in depth and in full. So I was just going to go right into that and keep that subject, but we're going to go ahead and make that next week. So anybody that is joining us for our Topic Tuesday today or watching this video after the fact, next week, so May 20th, will be the MLS versus the VLS and all the details to that. So, Christian, I'm going to ask you if you would point that camera down a little bit. Okay, that's better. So that's what we're going to do next week. So you will want to stay tuned for that. There's a lot of eye-opening details and facts that are going to be discussed, and it's going to be a very important topic, so that I think everybody should know. Okay, so especially anybody out there who is buying a home in the villages as well as selling a home in the villages, okay? So anyways, let's get started. So Rich, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And Frank, hello. I love the hand. I love that little hand up there. So Frank, thanks for joining us this afternoon. All right, so today's topic are all the different 55 plus. So listen, there is definitely a difference between 55 plus communities and what I'm going to say are active adult communities. Active adult communities are 55 plus communities, but active adult communities come with a whole host of activities in that community, really designed for the retiree who has been working your whole life and now kind of scratching your head as to, okay, well, I'm not working, I'm not going to work every day, what am I going to do, right? So I know a lot of people end up going back to work because they're bored and they're not partaking in any kind of activities where they live. And so that's where active adult communities come in, and that's what we're going to discuss today. So I kind of have my top, I wouldn't necessarily say top 10, but as an active adult community expert, and it's funny, I want to tell a little story because one day Jennifer Parr, who's the director of sales of the Villages sales office, who is part owner of the Villages, and her daddy, Gary Morris, he's the one that pretty much developed I would say probably 75% of what you see in the Villages today before he passed away. But now it's Jennifer, Gary, Mark, and Tracy, the three siblings, the three children of Gary and Sharon Morris, who started this community. So Jennifer called me because when I first started working in this community in 2000, there were 35 sales reps before my my training group came online, and I think we made, I remember we made an even 50 sales reps back in 2000 when I first joined the villages. So at 50 sales reps, now there's like 300 or maybe even more than 300. So when I first started, you know, I got to know Jennifer pretty well, you know, on a personal basis because, like I said, there's only 50 of us, and I was one of the top sales agents. So as you're, I guess, would be one of the top, you would naturally, you know, associate a little bit more with the director of sales. And so I have a bunch of awards, pins, a ring that I won or that I earned as a top sales rep for the villages. And then when I left in 2009, kind of went out on my own, I decided, well, hey, how am I going to separate myself from all the other realtors that are in the villages community? Well, one of the ways I did it was, as soon as I left, I immediately started advertising in the Daily Sun saying, get the best of both worlds. Meaning, I know all the aspects of the VLS as well as the MLS, as working for properties of the villages, as now working in the MLS. So I know I know all the aspects of the villages and the inner workings of properties of the villages, and now in the MLS, which I was so much happier when I left, because when you work for the villages, you do exactly what they tell you to do. No more, no less. You do exactly what they tell you to do. One time I went to them and I said, hey, I'm from Fort Lauderdale. I would love to go ahead and advertise in the Hollywood Sun-Sentinel down there in Hollywood, Florida, Fort Lauderdale. Hollywood's between Fort Lauderdale and Miami, for those of you who don't really know. But the Hollywood Sun-Sentinel was a very popular newspaper as well as, but I wanted to advertise in my community where people would recognize me and know me as growing up in that area. They go, nope. I said, but, you know, I'll let you approve the ad, and I'll use my own money and I'll advertise in the Hollywood Sun-Sentinel. Nope. They said, we do all the marketing, we do all the advertising. You just are along for the ride, basically. So I'm like, whatever. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an out-of-the-box thinker, as you all probably know, with Homes Around the Villages YouTube channel. Nobody in the villages could do anything like this YouTube channel. There's just no way they would ever allow that to happen. So you'll never find a villages sales rep with a YouTube channel. If you do, they'd be fired on the spot. So like I said, they only want you to do exactly what they want you to do, no more, no less, and that's it. Well, anyways, getting back to my conversation that I first started here, I was talking with Jennifer, and she didn't like the fact that I used the villages expert, because I used that for years, right? And I got sent letters from attorneys that say, hey, you're using the villages, which is a registered trademark, you can't do that, as the villages expert. And so anyways, I'm not even going to get into the details of that. But so Jennifer herself called me and said, hey, you know, could you meet with me? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So we met, and she goes, Ira, would you do me a favor? And I'm like, sure, Jennifer, I'll do anything for you. Because I really respect her. I love Jennifer, I respect her, she's an awesome person. And I said, sure, you know I'll do anything for you, all you have to do is ask. will you stop using the village's expert? That kind of makes people think that you work for the villages and you don't. And we don't want people to get confused with that, so would you please stop using the village's expert? I said, sure. I'll stop using the village's expert. So that's why you don't ever see me using the village's expert anymore, for those of you who have been around for a while. But I have that kind of relationship with Jennifer, so anyways. But she suggested, why don't you call yourself the active adult community expert? Wouldn't that be much better? Isn't that much more of what you do, Ira? And I'm like, well, as a matter of fact, you do have a point, but active adult community expert didn't really flow like the village's expert flowed, in my opinion. Active adult community expert. I don't know. Anyways, in my mind, I just couldn't make that flow or whatever. But that's exactly what I am. I am an active adult community expert. Now there's 55 plus communities around. I will tell you, JB Ranch, for example. JB Ranch in Ocala is a D.R. Horton community. It's a 55 plus community. But they don't have any activities. I mean, they have a clubhouse, they have a pool, and that's it. There's nothing more that JB Ranch offers than just being an active adult, being a 55 plus community where no children. So the whole idea of 55 plus communities are no kids. So one of the hard, steadfast rules, even here in the villages, and even though there's a lot of people that buy homes here in the villages that are under 55, no children under the age of 19. That is a pretty hard rule that even here in the villages they follow. So anybody who is under 55, even if you're over 55, if you have younger children, like I had my son at 47. So when he was 8 years old, I was 55. I could have technically moved here. And so many people say, how come you don't move to the villages? You're old enough, right? I'm like, yeah, but I have an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old or 11-year-old at that point. And so I'm like, I can't. I don't qualify. I have kids. Even though I'm 55, I still can't move here. I still can't live here. And Joey, my son, is 22. So really, I've only been eligible, well, he went away to college at 18. But see, really, so for the last 4 years, I've only been eligible to move here if I wanted to. Well, I've been here for 25 years, so after 21 years of living in Ocala, close to my wife's family, we just ended up, we're like, why move now, right? So that's why I don't live here. But anyways, over those years, over those course of years, when I started outside of the villages in the MLS in 2009, I was lucky enough where they did not have a non-compete built into their sales agents' contracts. Shortly after I left, they started building in a non-compete with all their agents that you couldn't sell any homes in the villages for 1 year. Now it's 2 years. And that has since been made illegal by the federal government, but the villages has gone ahead and they've filed a lawsuit against the federal government for saying non-competes are illegal, because that would be devastating to the villages. That's their hold on a lot of their agents who work for them. is if non-competes are ultimately made illegal, the villages are going to have a hard time chewing on that one. Anyways, just thought I'd give you a little bit of a history before we really dive into active adult community stuff. But I, over the period of time, kept running into people as the villages continued to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. More and more and more people were saying to me, the villages is overwhelming, it's too big, too crowded, whatever. We all know all the negative things about the villages. There's a lot of positive things about the villages, but hey, like I said last night, not everybody drives a Chevrolet, right? Not everybody drives a Porsche. There's different vehicles out there for different people. There's different communities out there for different people, you know? So that's why I became the active adult community expert, the AAC expert, and went out and started researching and trying to find what I could for people who felt like they were overwhelmed or whatever by the size of the villages. And they continue to grow. And by the way, shortly after I left the villages in 2009, probably around 2010, I came to Jennifer and I said, hey, and I told her, I said, when I worked for you back in 2002, we were selling homes in Marion County. I can't tell you how many people came to me and said, you know what, if the villages was closer to the ocean, we would buy today. So why don't you guys, I know we're getting pretty close to the end here, why don't y'all start buying some property closer to Daytona or Ormond Beach and, you know, the East Coast or whatever. And I brought them, I think, 1,500 acres to get started on with thousands of other acres around like they could have been buying up and formed and developed the villages by the sea or whatever, right? No, they didn't want to go, they didn't want to do that. I guess they had other plans. And the villages was supposed to stop at Brownwood, at Highway 44. And I just was amazed that when they started Finney over there, it was totally separated from the contiguous part of the villages, that it would even go. But I guess it's a successful model. And in my opinion, like still, I think if they would have bought land closer to the ocean, they would have been very successful, and they wouldn't have been as big, and it wouldn't have been as sprawling, and I really think that, you know, really would have been very successful. But what do I know, right? If I had the money, something I've never mentioned before, shortly after I left the villages, I grabbed the villages packet of all the floor plans and everything about the villages that you can get at their sales office. And I sent it to Donald Trump in New York City and said, hey, you're a real estate developer. I work for a company called The Villages in a community. I work in an area called The Villages that's very successful. And I know everything about how we can go ahead and put together another community, duplicate the villages, call it Trump Park, P-A-R-C. How about that, Mr. Trump? Never heard back from him. But that's me. That's the entrepreneur. That's the guy that I am. And that's why I'm not a good fit over there at the Villages sales office. So, moving on. I went out, started looking for other communities for the people who said to me, who most of them were here on the lifestyle preview plan, this isn't for me. So I didn't want to just let them go off on their own. So I made myself an expert on all the communities in this area. Stonecrest, Del Webb, Spruce Creek, on top of the world, Del Webb, Stone Creek, Pembroke Fairways, the plantations of Leesburg, all the different 55 plus active adult communities, right? So I've made myself an expert on that. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and do this Topic Tuesday on this subject and introduce you all. And I continue to, like I told everybody last night, I was up in St. Augustine looking around, seeing if there's any other active adult communities up there in St. Augustine that people might be interested in. Latitude Margaritaville, we introduced you all to last night. We did a video on in 2019. Christian, Minto Homes. That's who we need to reach out to. Minto Homes are the developer of Latitude Margarita. And they're the ones that allowed us to go in and shoot videos. And I was so ecstatic that they let us go in their models and even shoot videos. This was right around the pandemic. I mean, in my video, you could see people with masks on over there. But they got to the point where they were 2 years out if you wanted to build a home. Your home would have been ready in 2 years. I'm like, well, that's a little much, and they don't need my help with helping sell homes over there with that aspect to it. But that's how popular Latitude Margaritaville got. What's this, Christian? Am I now Monday Night Live? Okay.
That's just for, yeah.
Okay.
I did find Del Webb is doing, they recently did a community north of Claremont called Mineola.
In Mineola. All right, cool. Well, then we're going to have to check that out. So anyways, let me kind of just look at some of the, if there's, okay, so we have Becky, Frank, Rich. We said hello to you guys. Sonny, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it. And for joining us last evening as well. So I appreciate the effort for sure. And then Renee, Racer Girl, Trish Navarro, my friend, recently purchased her home here in the Villages. Let's see. Oops, I'm trying to. Okay, so let's dive right on in, okay? And let's talk about other communities, other options, other things to think about if, for some reason, you feel like possibly the Villages isn't for you. So this is going to be all about options for you. All right, we will dive into, now I kind of pulled up 55places.com. Here's the deal with 55places.com. If you call them, they're going to, first of all, I used to belong to 55places.com. And, you know, it got to the point where I felt like they weren't really fair. They want like 40% of an agent's commission if they provide a lead to you and you sell that lead a home. Well, the problem with 40% to them is that now if you work for a broker, your broker requires a split of your commission as well. And at the time, I was on a 70-30 split, because this was early on in my career after I left the Villages. So, you know, if they're taking $4,000, on a $10,000 commission, they're taking 4, leaves me with 6. And then 70% of that, I was probably left with, I don't know, let's just say $4,000, maybe $4,500 out of a $10,000 commission. So I parted ways with 55plus.com. Anyways, call me. Please don't call them for anything that we're showing you here today, okay? All right, so let's kind of get started. Ocala, on top of the world. On top of the world, probably maybe my #1 pick at this point in time. Maybe #2, actually. I think Stone Creek kind of went into the #1 slot. On top of the world fell to #2. Well, here's your rating, 4.1, 4.2 ratings. And I don't really even agree now that I'm looking at this. Ocala Preserve, we'll talk about that in just a second. But as far as activities go, bunch of activities, probably on top of the world as far as activities go, would be #1 as an alternative to the villages. But as far as a community itself, falls to #2 in my book, where you still have a lot of activities here. This is more, Stone Creek is what I call resort-style living, meaning when you walk in, you feel like you are visiting a resort, you know. I would go to Sandestin, for instance, on vacation. Sandestin, if we look at our map up here, it's over here in the Panhandle. So here's Destin. Sandestin is right in here as well. And so Latitude Margaritaville is up there in Panama City, where we kind of panned over to. So they did, that's Water Sound, I believe. It says Panama City, but I believe it's really actually Water Sound. Yeah, Water Sound, Latitude Margaritaville. So so the Latitude Margaritavilles, we're going to get into the one in Daytona here in just a second, which the Latitude Margaritaville in, let me go back, I guess, in our map and get where we need to be. Latitude Margaritaville is over here, actually. Wow, the Villages has a 4.0 rating. Interesting. Latitude Margaritaville 3.6. I'm really surprised to hear that of that star rating. Oak Run 4.1. See, I'm going to tell you guys, Oak Run, in my opinion, is not a 4.1 rating. They're more like a 3.6. It's an older community, really hasn't kept up with the times. There is a nicer part of it. The cost of living is very reasonable, and so I don't know how they rate these things, but I will tell you, up in the 1 million. So going back to, where were we? El Dorado is not even a 55 plus community. Okay, so anyways, let's go back to where we were. So the villages of Citrus Hills, hey, You know what? A lot of people ask me, Ira, when you retire, are you going to go live in the villages? And honestly, guys, I mean, I've worked here for 25 years. I really don't think that I would move here. I mean, I golf. Do I love to golf? Not really. I like to golf. I don't love it like some people do. Some people are obsessed. The villages of Citrus Hills, this is a very, very good candidate as to where I would probably move myself personally. It's over there in Hernando County. It's over by the Gulf Coast. This area right here, this is a giant gym. That's what I kind of like to do. That's kind of my thing, this giant gym. They have an indoor pool over here, spa center over here, you know, where you can get your hair done, your nails done, stuff like that. They have a 5-star restaurant inside the gated parts of Citrus Hills. There's a gated part and there's a non-gated part. Kind of like that. So if I was probably maybe to move, that is a good candidate for me. The villages, we kind of all know about the villages. I don't really think I need to spend a lot of time on the villages. On top of the world, like I said, that's probably number 2 as far as activities go. They basically have most of the same activities the villages does. However, they do have an indoor pool. In the entire villages community, not one indoor pool, which kind of shocks me. But they do have an indoor pool and an outdoor pool. So very good activities, pickleball court, softball field. This area right here, this is the original rec center. This is a 2-story rec center. Downstairs is a fitness center. Upstairs in this recreation center is kind of an auditorium where they do line dance lessons and stuff like that. They do have 3 golf courses. If you wanted to go play over at Stone Creek, you could do that as a 4th course in the area. Bella Cruz golf course isn't too far away either. So if you're into golf, and it's right in Ocala, more restaurants, malls, shopping than you could really ever want. So golf cart accessibility to grocery stores, to restaurants, to a neighborhood Walmart, to Lowe's, to Aldi's. So golf cart accessibility can be had, and to the little square that they have there as well, that they have entertainment. I think it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays. They have entertainment on those 3 nights there. So it is what it is. It's not the villages, but again, we're looking at alternatives and options to the villages. So Latitude Margaritaville, 3.6, I'm shocked, right? You know, so up here, we have Latitude Margaritaville. And I really kind of like Latitude Margaritaville. It looked pretty cool. I kind of showed you on the map last night what it looks like. But active living, right? 55 and better active living, active adult community, AAC, active adult communities. Really nice floor plans. I love the floor plans. Makes you feel like you're in Key West with these floor plans. So if you get a chance, you know, do a search. Actually, you know what? Christian didn't do this for me, but I will do it. I'll go over here, pull up YouTube. And I'll see if I can pull up my YouTube channel and do a search. There's my buddy Skip. All right. Um, all right, Christian. Let's go on over here. I don't like that, Christian.
Okay.
Here's my channel. And here's how you search on my channel. So not up here. I keep trying to make sure people, this is for YouTube to search. But down here is where you search for videos on my channel. So latitude. Oh, hit enter. All right, so you have to put your whatever it is in there and then not hit that, but hit enter. When you hit enter, that's when this. All right, so this is Latitude Margaritaville. 3 years ago, these are showing. Let's see, I was with one of the agents. If for some reason you call me and I can't make it out here for you, Christy's right here. She's our expert here at Latitude Margaritaville, and she'll be more than happy to see if we can get to. You like my shirt, my Margaritaville shirt? That was cool. What is that? So these are some of the models that we're catching up to. But yeah, I encourage you to go and check out this video. And these are all block and stucco. The models over there at Latitude Margaritaville. You see the pastel colors? I mean, that really reminds me of Miami and Keys and the whole community. Just
okay, so you have, these are called the cottages.
Going back this way, I think we have better. So they have different series of homes. This one.
My in-laws moved in the neighborhood across. Someone else said that.
We're not going to spend a whole lot of time. You guys
getting ready to build it
yourself. I did a little
drawing
of the community. There's the pool.
And that's the newest area there.
Yeah, you'll really enjoy, I think, this. And they do have, I don't know if we have the beach club in this video, or let's see, maybe we do. Latitude. So I would think new control. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe I guess we did add the beach club in here as well. But you'll want to go ahead and check that out. Let's kind of just slide over here real quick and see.
He's here for you. If I'm not here, that's what.
I thought I had the beach club
call on that number, or you can also email at homesaroundthevillages@gmail.com. And if you are not yet a subscriber, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We'd love to have you.
Let me just do this real quick. Maybe if I put beach in there, the beach club. Yeah, there you go. Part 4 of Latitude. Part 4? Wow, touring the beach club. So yeah, you guys will want to, part 4. I wonder why I only pulled up part 1 maybe. But anyways, there's the beach club. You'll want to check that out. We do drone flyovers and all that good stuff. Tried to find it last night on a map, but you'll see the drone and stuff like that. So that to me is a great a great community if you're wanting to be close to the beach. And if you're a NASCAR fan, you're there, very close to the racetrack. Stone Creek, that is, like I said, that's probably number one. You look at that pool, gives you a real resort feeling, vibe while you're there. They have a 4.2 rating. From what we've seen, 4.2 looks pretty good. Oak Run, like I said, from 100 to 400s, right? Older homes. They do have a lot of activity. They have, well, I don't know about a lot of activities, but they do have activities. Over here, this is more for the person who's really looking for a more moderately priced home in the area. Let's see, Plantation Bay, that's in Ormond Beach. Spruce Creek Country Club, this is a Del Webb community here as well. 4.5 rating, wow. Again, Del Webb's pretty much our resort style living. This is very close to, this is in between Ocala and the Villages, right? So it gets you a little bit closer to Ocala. One of the advantages of being there is like in the wintertime. A lot of people take it from the Villages, take advantage of going to Ocala to go to restaurants and shopping and stuff like that to get out of the Villages when a lot of people come in the wintertime. So Spruce Creek Country Club is, has a lot of great activities. Very good. I've done a video on Spruce Creek as well. You might want to check that out. Plantation at Leesburg. We've done videos on Plantation at Leesburg too. 5.0 rating. Well, that's only 2 reviews, but hey, 5.0 rating. Stonecrest, don't know about that 5.0 rating. That's the closest community, I would say, to Spanish Springs. Shopping is accessible by golf cart. You could even get to the Villages if you wanted to by golf cart by living here at Stonecrest, okay? Activities, not as many activities or organized activities here as you would find in Spruce Creek Country Club, okay? They're at Stonecrest. But, like I said, Walmart is right outside the gates. They have their own special private golf cart gate that leads in and out of Stonecrest. And then you can go right on down to BJ's, Aldi's, Lowe's, Bell's, and then a lot of people will even go across the road, across 441 in their golf cart and get into the Villages that way. They blocked off the main entrance, unfortunately, the Villages did. I have issues sometimes with stuff when they do stuff like that. I mean, what's the harm, right? What's the harm if somebody lives in Stonecrest, goes over the golf cart bridge, but they blocked off the ability for people outside of the Villages going in and out to get over to Spanish Springs. Okay, let's see what else. Ocala Preserve, okay, Ocala Preserve. Ocala Preserve, they have a 5-star restaurant in there. They have a beautiful golf course over there. Activities, not so much. Organized activities, really not so much. Also, in my opinion, they kind of ruined the whole vibe and the whole theme of that gated community by letting other builders like D.R. Horton inside and build a large portion inside there. I think they might have let Lennar Homes in there as well. So those are mediocre builders. I don't think so much quality builders inside this private country club community. Spruce Creek South, hey, I have a couple listings in Spruce Creek South. Very moderately priced, if this is what you're looking for, in the $200,000 to $300,000, and you want to be as close as you can and enjoy the villages, then this might be the community for you. So if you're in that price range, you'll get much more home for the price in that price range than you would in the villages. You can't partake, obviously, in the activities of the villages, but you can gain access to the villages in a roundabout way going through Stonecrest, or going by Stonecrest, like some people do in Stonecrest. So that's a pretty good, I do have a video on Stone Creek. No, I do have a video on Stonecrest. Spruce Creek South, I probably do need to go ahead and make a video. They do have their own golf course. It's a links golf course. They do have this activity center as well, little fitness center, nice pool, and activities there as well. Terra Vista. Terra Vista is the villages of Citrus Hills. That's the gated community part of Citrus Hills. And so we talked a little bit about the villages of Citrus Hills over there in Hernando County, close to Crystal River and Hernando and Homosassa. Beautiful sprawling estates and golf course. It's just a beautiful area. It's kind of one of the hidden gems of the Emerald Coast of Florida, okay? Age targeted, they call it. It is not a 55+ community. It's a age targeted, they call it, meaning, it's kind of geared more towards the older retiree people, but they have not designated it as a 55+ community. Royal Highlands is right off the turnpike and Highway 27, pretty much at that intersection, right north of Claremont. Royal Highlands has some nice activities as well, and some decent homes for a decent price in the 200s to 400s. Any of you out there that really want to be close to, let's say, the Orlando Airport, close to all the theme parks, like Disney World, Universal, SeaWorld, all that stuff, this might be for you, okay? Because it's a hop, skip, and a jump onto the turnpike there, okay? Pembroke Fairways, a 5.0 rating. For the life of me, there is no way that this community has a 5.0 rating. So I'm going to tell y'all, just totally disregard the ratings when I see this. Pembroke Fairways, last time I was in there, the golf course wasn't taken care of very well. Not really many planned activities in there. It's close to the villages on the south end of the villages, but 5.0, no. Trilogy. Trilogy is in Groveland. It says Trilogy at Orlando. I've toured Trilogy before. I believe I have a video of Trilogy you might want to look at as well. Beautiful buildings, beautiful rec center, but as far as organized activities, there are none, or very little, I'll say. one of the things that really makes these active adult communities successful is the organization of the activities in that community. And I'm going to give a shout out to John Rohan. So John Rohan, I've known since I started working in the villages in 2000. He's been the activity director, the recreation director of the villages. Not 100% sure if he's still there or not, but because, man, I mean, that was 25 years ago, right? So I would not be surprised if he has retired, but that guy was very instrumental in the success of the villages because of the organized activities that he was over. And that's, I think, one of the big things that makes the villages so successful are the organized clubs, the organized activities. So the things that really do make the villages successful, I would say that's number one, and even over the squares. Why do I say that? Because a lot of people really gravitate to those squares, maybe for the first 6 months. After that, the novelty's kind of worn off. It gets taken over by people from the outside. People from the outside can go to the squares as well as residents, right? So there are, a few people who are just really obsessed with the squares. But for the most part, the majority of people who live in the villages don't go to the square every day, every week. But they do participate in the activities. So the success of the villages, to me, the number one success are the organized activity, recreational activities in the villages. That's number one. Number two, the squares do rank up there. I mean, people just really think the squares are all it. But, I liken it to Disney World. You go to Disney World, and that's great. Disney World is just a wonderful place where dreams come true, how they say in Disney World. But man, you go to Disney World for a while, then after a while, before you know it, it's like 5 years since the last time you went to Disney World. So that's kind of how the squares typically end up being in the villages. But activities, recreational activities, John Rohan, he's the man. I really have high regard and high respect for John, being that activity and director and the organizer of the recreational activities in the villages. Golf cart accessibility, that's probably the top 3 of the attraction to the villages. People are kind of, I guess you all go through a second childhood and be able to drive a golf cart. Jace, my man, he loves his golf cart and getting around the villages by golf cart. He gets here, I don't think he gets in his van one time the whole time he's here. He drives here and then gets in that golf cart and goes everywhere in his golf cart. But Jace is here once a month for, I guess, I guess he's here for a week, once a month. And so he's like a kid again when he gets here in his little golf cart. So recreation activities, squares, golf cart accessibility. I guess the golf courses are a big attraction to a lot of people too. 12 championship golf courses, probably 50 executive golf courses here. So if you're a big golfer, that might be a big attraction. And then pickleball. So that's the top 5 attractions for the villages, and very well so. I mean, you can go shopping by golf cart. You can go to the squares by golf cart. You can go to the rec centers, the swimming pools by golf cart. So in the summertime, I don't know. Ghost Rider was saying last night, man, he doesn't care about the 95-degree heat. Going 20 miles an hour in his golf cart doesn't really bother him. I kind of scratch my head when I'm driving in my air-conditioned car, driving through the villages and looking at these people in 95, 96-degree heat. I don't know about that, but hey, to each their own. Like Ghost Rider said, he's only here a week at a time. Those people that are here on a limited basis really tend to go ahead and just partake in everything about the villages, the squares, the golf cart accessibility, you know, so I get it. But when you're here 12 months out of the year, then you prioritize things a little bit differently. What else do we have? Anything else here? Ocala Palms? Nah, not really. Let's see. There's a crest wind at Victoria Gardens. Oh, hey, you know what? I sold a home in DeLand, Florida, in Victoria Gardens once. I had a home that I listed for a lady who lived here in the villages. Summer Glen, not so much. They're right off the interstate. I don't really think they have a very good, what are they rated? 5.0. This blows my mind. You know, some of these 5.0 ratings, like I said, 55 plus places with these ratings, throw those out the window. I'm telling you right now, Summer Glen is not a 5.0. They have Leesburg, a Legacy at Leesburg. They don't even have a golf course. And, all right, so one of the things before we break, as we talked about last night, Rivery at Silverleaf in St. Augustine. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to do some research on Rivery here probably in the next week or so. I'm going to bring that to y'all, so be looking for that at Silverleaf. Says Jacksonville, Florida, but it's really St. Augustine. I think pretty close to the St. Augustine beaches. So this community, well, there you go. The new 55 plus. I'm going to check out the activities, see if it's worth no CDD fees. So that's kind of important. They really hit hard on that because of all the CDD fees in the villages. That's a huge negative. $55,000 for a bond now in a new home. That's crazy. And again, I don't want to go and start beating up on the villages, but a $55,000 bond, that equates to like $3,600 just to pay the bond a year. Then you have about another $700 in maintenance fees. So now you're at $4,200 just for the bond and the maintenance fees in the villages. That's why a lot of people are looking outside the villages. All right, so again, I'm the curator of information. I provide all the information to you, and then you can make up your own minds as to what's important, what's not important. I'll tell you right now, people in Naples or Fort Myers Beach coming up from there, they're paying $14,000 in taxes. So a $9,000 or $10,000 tax bill here in the villages doesn't affect them. Up there in Long Island, some people are telling me they pay $24,000, $27,000 in taxes. That doesn't really, so some people, that doesn't really affect so much, but if you're retired, right, you want to try to minimize, I would think, your overhead. Let me go back. I haven't really paid any attention. I've just been rattling on here. And so, let's see. Let me kind of, let's see. Let me go to my chats. so let's kind of go. Let's see. Hello, everyone. I'm cleaning while listening. They sure do like to use lawfare a lot. They do. They use lawfare a lot in the villages. And let's see. What's Becky talking about here? Just kind of going back a little bit. I find 55 plus website annoying and difficult to move around, and I stopped even looking at it over a year ago. I'm telling you, their ratings are bogus. Do not go by those ratings. They rate the villages a 4.0, and they rate Pembroke Fairways a 5.0. That's craziness. Thanks, Wrestler. Thank you for joining and jumping on and being my advocate. I love you, man. Appreciate that. I do. I appreciate it each and every time you jump on and support me. So, Ira needs an indoor pool so Skip can't fly his drones overhead of me. This guy. Let's see. Let me do this. So, okay. Going back, let's see. Does Plantation Lever have golf courses? They have, yes, they have, I believe they have two golf courses, a nice little bar and grill. They have activities over there, and I think they're under $200 a month for their HOA fees. So they have 3 different rec centers, 3 different swimming pools. They have, trying to think, do they have an indoor pool? No, not really, but they're close to the turnpike as well, like Royal Highlands. They also have a back gate, and if you go out that back gate, you can get to the villages in Eastport pretty quick from the plantation. So earlier I asked about vetting neighborhoods if you're a new home buyer. I misspelled vet and wrote get. All right. Well, Dell, I think I might have. Did I miss that part? I mean, I don't remember seeing. Oh, how do new homeowners vet the neighborhoods prior to buying? Vet the neighbors prior to buying. How do new homeowners? You do like my man Klaus did. He went around, knocked on doors. He went around as people were outside working in their lawns and stuff, and he just moseyed himself around over there, introduced himself, and that's how he kind of vetted those neighbors, his own neighbors. Let's see. Okay, so that's really. Heard that even if you are a resident of the villages, you have to get to activity an hour just to get in. That is true in the wintertime. Yeah, in the wintertime, they really fill up. I mean, they have big auditoriums in a lot of the regional recreation centers. Let me think. Yeah, in the regional recreation centers, they each have auditoriums where they do, let's say, for instance, line dance lessons. In wintertime, it's packed. So that may be what they're talking about. Ira, if one were to buy an old mobile home in the north of the villages, what kind of restrictions does the villages put on you in terms of what you can build in its place? There are none. You have to build within the setbacks. That's your only restriction. How to find out the price of HOAs and what they include. So each community pretty much if I was to go to my matrix, for instance, if we're sending you homes to look at, let me just, I want to go to Plantation, and then Leesburg. For instance, 102 matches. Let's see what the Plantation has. They even have mobile homes in the Plantation, by the way. They kind of started like the Villages did. Here's a $390,000, 2,800 square foot home, for instance. I'm just looking for $165 a month for an HOA. That's really, really good for what they have to offer over there. Home prices aren't that bad either, actually. So you might find that some of them are a little dated. This one isn't. This one has nice granite cabinets. Looks like they put some brand new cabinets in there, so it looks pretty nice for $390. Anyways, let's see. So that's how you find HOAs. If we're sending you homes, by the way, we can set you up on a search. Like for instance, let's say you told me, hey, I want a home, let's say over 1,700 square feet, all right? And I want one that's 3 bedrooms at least, plus if there's a 4-bedroom out there. All right, and that narrows us down to 43 matches. What we can do is, for instance, we could always do this, do a save and a new auto email. If we do a new auto email, then we will create a new contact of you, and then we will go ahead and we will be automatic. So first of all, you'll get a bulk of those homes that fit your criteria, say in your price range, and square footage and all that. And then after that, every time a brand new listing hits the market, doesn't matter where it is, doesn't matter if it's in multiple communities, you will automatically be getting up to date. But and then once you do that, then you'll get these listings, and then you can see on there where the HOA is, okay? And you can, so let's see, so that's about the HOAs. In the winter, the activities fill up quick, as Wrestler Mania has mentioned, and as I did. Skip can't even get into the Vegan Lovers Club. Of course, the Ira Miller Fan Club is full all year round. There's always room for one more. There's always room for one more. Oto's getting more appealing to me, Gary. You know, like I said, as far as activities go, that's really, to me, number one as an alternative to the Villages. So it gives you a smaller community with basically the same activities. And then, like I said, they do have an indoor pool where the Villages doesn't. And then you have all the shopping and restaurants and entertainment that Ocala provides. World Equestrian Center, don't forget about World Equestrian Center, awesome place. Any concerns about rapid Crestwinds expansion? Seems like more housing starts in a year than in the life of the company. Any concerns about the rapid Crestwind's expansion? Not really, because I'm thinking, like a lot of people, that's what made Stonecrest successful. That's what makes Del Webb Spruce Creek successful, is that people have left the villages and gone to those other communities as an option, as an alternative. So as a brand new community with activities and entertainment going in at Crestwind, it's probably going to be a very good option for village residents. You'll probably see, I would say you'll probably find half that community. 50% of that community will probably be villages residents before it's all said and done. So I don't have any problems with, because, you know, I just showed you up here, there was, where did I see that? Was it here? A Crestwinds. So Crestwinds is kind of like, here it is, Crestwind at Victoria Gardens, right? That was built from 2001 to 2022. So there is your stability right there of the Crestwind. What is the name of that developer? You remember for Crestwind?
I just know it's not. Let me see.
But anyways, they seem to have longevity for sure. Plantation Leesburg, yes. Huh?
Coulter Homes.
Coulter Homes, yes. Missy Mo, okay, wow. Missy just kind of jumping in for a little bit. So thank you for joining us. Do you own the land your house sits on and on top of the world? Great question. Half of on top of the world you do, and half of on top of the world you don't. It's called leasehold. So HHC is still interested in Sola Vida. We've been looking at others, but she keeps circling back to Sola Vida. You know, Wrestler, I've been to Sola Vida, but man, it's been a long time since I've been to Sola Vida. Sola Vida is in Kissimmee. And that's how you say it, not Kissimmee, Kissimmee. And Kissimmee is very close to Disney World. Kissimmee is growing like crazy. So, to each their own. Personally, I wouldn't be going there. Way too crowded, too close to Orlando, too close to Disney, too close. There's a lot of reasons. But if that's your thing, God bless you, and everybody, that's why there's people living in Sola Vida, because they have, everybody's different. That's how I started out Topic Tuesday today. Everybody's different. Not everybody drives a Chevrolet. So I'm here to offer options for you. There's many, many, many options. I love to spend time with people when you're in the market and you're ready to buy and you're looking around and you're looking for communities and you're looking for the best fit. I'm an excellent advisor. I would even call myself a concierge for you. So please go ahead, book an appointment with me. Christian will go ahead and give you our contact information. And book an appointment with me. We'll sit in my office for an hour, hour and a half, going through all these different homes, going through different communities, and really narrow it down for you and get you on the right track. Gary Winkle, he's an excellent example, right, Gary? So Poincietta. Well, okay. We may be neighbors someday, Becky. Okay, let's see. Dell, only one section on top of the world is land lease, from my understanding. So let me kind of just straighten that out real quick, okay? By a map. So, where are we? Plantation at Leesburg. I'm just going to pull one of these up only for the map that it provides. Okay, so here's what I would like to show. Anyways, this is Plantation of Leesburg. While we're looking at it, has a back gate, like I said, that will take you over to the villages, and this is where they have Eastport going on. Anyways, I digress. Let's go up the Turnpike. 275. 2 on top of the world. See right here. Okay. This road right here separates land lease from land owned. So this is Wayborn Landing. This is Candler Hills. So they've separated it by name. On top of the world is basically landhold or leasehold land. Candler Hills, even though it is in on top of the world as a whole, you own the land there, and that's also the case for Wayborn Landing. That's right up here. Here's their little town square, by the way. You know, so you have so you have the entertainment complex. This is the Performing Arts Center. This is called the Ranch for those people who want a little more exclusivity. And up here in indoor pool, spa, fitness center. You can join the Ranch. Right here's the square, and they have the little gazebo where the band plays. And they have Sid's Cafe. This is the country club over here where they have a really nice restaurant, excellent golf courses in this community. This is the Candler Hills recreation area. But yeah, all in here you own your land. And then, like I said, down here on 90th separates leasehold from what's called fee simple. Fee simple means you own the land. Leasehold means there's a 99-year lease on the property, and the on top of the world takes care of your lawn care as well as painting your home every 7 years. They have an insurance policy for the outside of the home. And they do roof repairs in the case of a storm. If you have roof damage, they'll come and repair your roof. They won't replace it, but they will repair it. It's quite pricey, though. It's like $520 a month versus, I believe it's $299 if you live in the fee simple area and take care of your own property. So $520, $299, but it's a significant part of on top of the world. Okay, so there you go. That's your little geography lesson for today. Let me take myself back to full status, get back to the chats. That's right, wrestler. Doing concierge services. I like the fact that the Tiara model and on top of the world has a flex room. Perfect for a model railroad. Absolutely. I'm just reading Wrestler Mania. All right, you guys. 2:22. We spent about an hour and 22 minutes covering a good portion of active adult communities. Like I said, I tried to stick to the active adult communities rather than 55 plus communities, which there is a difference. And I use JB Ranch. If you ever run into JB Ranch along your little searches, they're a 55 plus community, no activities. They have a community swimming pool. That's it. But anyways, that's the difference. All right, so thank you all for joining me this Tuesday afternoon. Join me next week for the MLS versus the VLS. And I'm going to give you all the ins and outs and all the truth between the two and how it all works, okay? So there you go. Also, Monday Night Live, don't forget to join us 6 p.m. every Monday. Open forum. Bring your questions. Del, I love all your questions. Thank you so much for all the questions about different things. Call us when you're in the area. Let's make an appointment for you to come in and sit with me and see what we can do for you, okay? Everybody else, wrestler, you're the man. Thank you for advocating for me. I appreciate it. And all your little jokes, we love it. Kind of breaks things up in here, so that's awesome as well. All right, let's see. That's about it, you guys. Have a great week. Have a better weekend. Call us if we can help you, if we can do anything, if you have any questions that can't wait until Monday night or Tuesday. Call me, text me, email. Christian's giving you all of our contact information, so we'd love to hear from you, okay? Thanks so much. Like I said, enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much for joining us this